Hi, Michael from My Food Truck Coach. Here to talk about generator boxes and generator covers and how important it is to protect your generator from both theft and weather. So first things first, let's talk a little bit about what generator you should use. First thing, without a doubt, is the Honda EU7000, one of the most popular generators we use, is great. It's fantastic, it's quiet, it's reliable, it's predictable on maintenance, very easy to work on and manipulate, both changing oil and the fuel sock that's on the 7000. There's some other things that come up though if you're not careful on the weather side of things. And so we'll talk about that in a minute. The second type of generator we typically see getting used is Cummins Onan. It's usually the commercial series, and it's anything from the propane, the diesel, to the not natural gas, but gasoline versions of those generators. And so with those generators we've been seeing recently, they tend to overheat a little bit more or have other challenges that aren't quite as predictable as the Hondas. So something to consider while you're selecting your generator. The boxes for those are pretty straightforward, as they are with the Hondas. We've got a custom built box we create in our shop that is just for the Honda, where the generator actually slides out and then a door sits on top of it like a rain guard as a shield on top of the generator. You can then lift that up and still be able to fuel the generator from the top, because it does have a self-contained tank on the Honda. Usually with Cummins Onan's generators, you're either feeding off of a second fuel cell or off of the fuel tank itself. So with the Honda, you're usually running off of this standard tank that's on top of the generator. So we have a custom generator box for that. You can find it on our website on myfoodtruckcoach.com, and you can see pictures of it. In addition to that, we'll flash a few pictures here throughout the video of those items. And then the second thing that we actually created was just kind of a hood to go over top of the Honda 7000. It's pretty popular to mount these on the front of your bumper on a truck. And so what we did was create a shield that goes over the backside of the generator, comes up and makes a bend, and then has a piano hinge, so you can flip it up and still access the gas tank and anything you need on top of the generator, and then be able to flip that down and still secure it from the weather. As water gets into these Honda generators, bad things happen. Oftentimes the inverters short out or other things go on that are not good. So you really want to make sure that if you're going to run your Honda in the rain, you shield it as best you can. Both in the air intake and the electronics panel is really important. So just something to consider while you're weighing your options on what to do with generators. Another thing to consider is whether or not your fire department has requirements on exhaust and the distance from propane tanks. So in Florida, there's a 5-foot rule. Your generator has to be 5 feet away from propane or any other ignition point. So you want to make sure you have those spaced out. You don't want those two things together. Lastly, I'll say the exhaust fumes from a generator need to be 12 feet from a fresh air opening. Nobody's really defined that for us yet. That's a new part of NFPA 96, which is the fire code coming into play in January. Technically, it's the 2018 code, but it always comes into play 2 years later. And so it's going to be interesting to see how fire marshals interpret that. But 12 feet, the only place we've found that you can really get 12 feet from a truck is usually right behind the driver's door where the pocket door is. So we've been permanently closing that door, putting the generator compartment there behind the driver's door, so that there's enough space for that 12 feet of allowance, so that that exhaust fume can't get into the truck and be a potential harm to your employees. If you guys have any questions, please comment below. Look forward to seeing you again soon.